fantastic being here. And to see this beautiful, large crowd of women professionals, that's the stuff my dreams are made of. It's fabulous to be here. That's my mother-in-law, sobering thought. She's 86, loves reading the news, and if she were to pick the Times Person of the Year, it would be Sundar Pichai every year. She dislikes cooking in the microwave oven, supports Trump, and believes that the coronavirus is inspired by a Tamil film. She thinks that it is very, very important for women to have careers. That's one thing we agree on. And I dare not disagree with her at my own peril. Oh, and one more thing. She was my first investor. When I decided to begin Avatar, the first check was signed by her for me to begin my business. So it's a complicated relationship of living under the same roof for 29 years, agreeing and disagreeing on many things. After I started Avatar, her conversational topics have changed a lot. So the other day, I happened to hear her talking to a friend, did not eavesdrop, happened to come by and stayed on just out of curiosity. So she's telling her friend, Mrs. Ramurthy, I think you should ask your daughter-in-law to, speak to Avatar, because the way the fourth industrial revolution is going, I think women may lose out on a lot of jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this and I never thought I would, but Amma is right. Women's jobs are more under threat by the age of automation. Research has it that over 180 million jobs performed by women will become redundant because of AI, robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, the works. 70% of these jobs will be replaced by automation. So hang on. If tech is the problem, then shouldn't tech be the solution? Shouldn't more tech actually be the answer for women in tech? There's a little bit of a complication there. There was this amazing project called Project Oxygen, famously done by Google, which analyzed the key skills that are required for women and men to excel in the field of technology. And they found 8 skills. They ranked 8 skills. The top 7 skills, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the top 7 skills were not hard skills. They were, and this is such a big misnomer, soft skills. I would prefer to call them strategic skills. 7 skills, top 7 skills for a career in technology were strategic skills, and the 8th skill, the last one, just like how the police comes in all our Bollywood films at the last scene, no? The last skill is your hard technical skill. So clearly, that begs the question, then are women's jobs outside the space of tech safe? I mean, would it be the answer for all of us to quit our tech jobs and then take up jobs in, say, FMCG or banking or manufacturing or any of those things? Before we break out the champagne, here are some data for us to look at. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, tech is indeed the industry which is most suitable for women. Tech was the first industry that understood the potential of women and began hiring them in double digits. Tech was the first industry that listened when women like me came and said that, you need to make it more enabling for women professionals. Tech was the first industry in India to actually offer the multiple flavors of flexible working and create work-life integration for women professionals. So yes, tech is indeed, the tech business, the tech industry is definitely one that's going to help us help women professionals do really well. But let me pause there for a minute. I had this conversation with a woman CEO a few years ago. And she was telling me, you know what, Soundarya? I have done everything that you guys prescribe. All the policies, the processes, the bells and whistles, everything is there. But still, two women, absolutely identical in their skills, in their attitude, in their orientation, even in their family circumstances. Two women, and yet one of them rises to leadership and does so well in their career, while the other one drops off and becomes a statistic. Why is this happening? She asked me. And that angst in her voice and that search for a real solution got all of us at Avatar embarked upon this study on the topic of career intentionality. So it was a long process, and we discovered that there was indeed a secret recipe, a secret sauce, because of which certain women professionals were able to stick on, were able to do what it takes to reach their career aspirations. A few years ago, when I was, trying to complete my book, my debut book called the 99-Day Diversity Challenge, I took a little holiday up in Nilgiris. Of course, it was also to escape the bone-melting Chennai heat. And, you folks at Bangalore, you've won the lottery with regard to the climate, so you don't know what it means. And so I went there, and in that tea estate, I had the opportunity to meet these three women. They were not famous women, or they were not women who were, known, remarkable for anything. One of them was a chef. The other was a daily wage laborer in the tea factory. And the third was a supervisor in a manufacturing plant. When I heard their stories, I was completely enthralled by the type of challenges and the type of problems that they had actually got to face. And even though they lived in that beautiful, vista of Ooty, of Nilgiris, they were so cut off from the types like us who went there holidaying because of the kind of day-to-day struggles that they had to put up with. But they did. They were survivors. They were people who had high intentionality. So, when women have low career intentionality, what happens? You can actually make it out very, very clearly. You have low energy. There's inefficient networking. There's a sense of, not being able to work together with a team. There's lots of problems when it comes to integrating your work and life. And by the way, never call it work-life balance. Remove that term from your dictionary, because there's no such thing as work-life balance. You do work-life balance, you're constantly going to pit one against the other. Try work-life integration this way, not like a physical balance, but more like a dovetailing. So work-life integration goes for a toss when you have low career intentionality. More importantly, women who have the low career intentionality, they actually are afraid. They're afraid to take risks, afraid to engage in conflict, afraid to negotiate. And a lot of them are mothers. And I keep asking them, you're a mother, you've pushed a human being out of your body. Why do you need to be afraid of anything else after that? And the problem is, when you don't focus on the strategic skills of your career, that is a serious mistake that we make. We believe that the technical skills are the be-all and end-all. Lots of people ask me, Dr. Soundarya, who inspires you? Who are the type of people that you get inspired by? And let me tell you, it's these women, mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, colleagues, second career women. Women who went about their lives, who, took that break on account of motherhood, maternity, following an itinerant spouse. And then they went about their lives, and one day they decided it was time to return. And then they fought their way back into the workplace. And they did so with intentionality. I should know about taking a break. I took a break 3 years as a young banker into my career. And then, initially I really liked it. It was wonderful. I enjoyed myself. The me time was awesome. You had conversations with people other than babies. So it was quite interesting. Then after some time, I started missing it. I started missing the fact that, the workplace represented something that I could be. It represented the potential of what I could reach if I wanted to. So I decided to, start looking for a job. And I went for an interview. The interviewer was very angry with me because of the 3-year break that I had taken, and also with the recruiter who had recommended me, who had sent me there. But at the end of the conversation, I got the job. I don't usually cry, but that day I cried. And that was because the job contained a 40% pay cut. And it was as if it was a representative of my identity, of who I had become because of the break. I think that was the moment Avatar was really born, because we then decided we would focus on marginalized talent pools, on women who have taken breaks in careers, on the so-called irregular CVs. And today, there are more than 35,000 Soundaryas who have gotten back into the workplace because we decided that we needed to do that. That is career intentionality. And the fact that we need those skills is something that's proven time and again. We call them 3 sets of skills: bridging skills, boosting skills, and buzzing skills. And ICP, Intentional Career Pathing Program, is a long program that women undergo. And several organizations started offering this program to the women in their workplaces. Companies like Accenture, IBM, EY, Capgemini, Sutherland, all of these organizations. And what we did, we began actually tracking these women. We began trying to see what were they doing. And it was super interesting because we realized that, women in technology, smart girls, all of you. So very smart women, what they did was they were leveraging IT tools to actually become more career intentional. They were using all of this. They were using your, Skype, and they were using Dunzos, and they were using Swiggy, and, they were using WebEx, and they were using WhatsApp even to actually further their careers and become more career intentional. I hold a PhD in women's workforce participation, so I have to show some numbers to prove that my PhD is legitimate. We started tracking not only the careers of these women, we also started tracking their numbers. And what we found was amazing. Their language had changed. They started negotiating better. They started asking their managers for that raise. They started upskilling themselves. They started handling conflict better. And they stopped dropping off from the workplace and actually started posting larger numbers. So between 2016 and 2019, we have seen almost an 8% increase in women's workforce participation, ladies. Holding on to the old patterns is easy. Breaking those patterns, disrupting that, is difficult. And even more importantly, it's like cleaning up after a tsunami, It's so messy that you do not know where to start. And even more importantly, people will question you. They will ask you, what is the so-called strategic skills? When you start making that transformation into intentionality, you will be questioned. You will be questioned even by people who you thought were your allies. But even more importantly, you will have a little voice in your own head which tells you, is this right? Going down the path of career intentionality, is it right? And it's my job here to tell you, do not believe that. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, it's that times can be tough, but women are tougher. We women, we learn how to manage challenges that are thrown our way. And in today's world, where, women like you can use so many technology tools. With your digital fluency and your ability to manage social media, I predict that this generation, your generation of women professionals, even more than my generation, you're going to change the course of the way the Indian woman professional looked in Indian history. You're going to do that simply because you will marry the software of career intentionality with the hardware of technology, and you will create careers that are both beautiful and lives that are wonderful. Thank you, and wishing you a wonderful career intentional life ahead. Thanks.